Welcome to Aphase. This is our media platform. This is our content. We're going to be interviewing artists throughout the city. We're going to be getting to know creators. And one of the points that I stated earlier was that the whole point of being an artist to me is that we're going to share the art with people. And if we don't have anyone to share it with, what's the point of doing it? What's the point of like wanting to be a successful person if you're not even going to put yourself out there to connect with other people? What is success without other people? You know? So we're going to just start doing this more often. We wanted to share this spotlight and spotlight artists and people who are influential and inspiring and like kind of door openers. That's one of the key phrases I like to say is door openers. People who change, I don't know, the way the world is for the next generation or the next group of people to try. One of our key artists that we wanted to highlight today for the first time on our first ever episode, our first interview. May you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Tarrah Aroonsakool. I'm a born and raised San Diego artist. And I would say I'm a mixed media artist. So initially I started with doing clay sculpting and then did watercolor for a long time. So that's what a lot of people know me for. But as of late, I'm going back to my roots of doing a lot of sculpting and installation work. So that's what I'm doing as of late.
So you're sculpting, you started off with 3-dimensional. To me, hearing that is pretty like impressive because like to have the understanding of like shifting and shaping 3 dimensions is so different than 2-dimensional. Like even shading on 2-dimensional is really difficult for me, at least. I'm trying, like I can do it, but just to know how to structure things, like I saw your latest project and I was really impressed because I want to let you introduce your project too.
Yeah.
But I was really impressed because the way it looks so real. And that's just like, to just have the natural ability to do that. I feel like you have that.
Thank you. I would say like the thing that I love the most about doing 3D is being able to work with my hands. I find that I'm like a builder of things. I like to, do things with my hands. So I felt like I could really focus and felt more connected to my art when I was like putting my hands on it. But yeah, my recent work had an opportunity at Hill Street Country Club, which is run by Dinah. She is a Black, awesome female artist herself who opened this gallery in Oceanside. I believe she's been open for almost 10 years, but I'm not quite sure. But she had opened up the space to me and my friend Marcos, who is a photographer, to like kind of use the space as a experimental project for us, basically a show where we kind of got to work with things we don't really, I guess, work with. And it was a space where we could actually open up and get feedback of, you know, where we are as artists. You know, I definitely think that maybe right now I'm a sculptor. I don't know where I'm going to be next week. I think that it's really important for artists to grow and change. And, you know, when you're like someone's art, you're actually a fan of the artist. So you have to accept as they grow as well.
Yeah.
Their art will change as they change.
I definitely agree. What you said was very like, it moved me in a way because that is literally why I named my brand Aphase. Because it's like, I couldn't pick one moment to make my brand about or one thing to make my brand about. So I had to just think about like all the things you could be, all the things you can be. Like, really similar to what you're kind of stating right here and about like your art form and like how you view yourself.
Yeah.
Being one with what you do. I think one of the things I noticed about your art is you have a reflection of the society around you within your pieces. and you actually take the time to explain it, instead of just like throwing it out there. Like you really give the depth. That's what kind of to me separates you from other artists I've seen, because I'm like, wow, I can kind of know what you mean by like the way you said your color shading, or the way you go about that. I have these questions here ready and available. I kind of want to look through those, because these kind of are just questions I had when I was looking at your page.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, oh wow. I was like, let me just write down I'm just reading about you, and this cool part, you've been on articles, so I have a lot of information.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm like nerding out right now. Like,
yeah, so this is like a different interview for me. So it's my first time doing a podcast style situation. A long time ago, one of my first jobs in New Orleans is I had like this slot in a DJ, or not a DJ, a radio station at like 3:00 in the morning for an hour, and they're looking for someone to fill this spot to be a radio DJ host at like a ska radio station.
Yeah.
I really didn't know too much about ska, but they're like, okay, she's from San Diego, like she'll know something. So I guess that's the last time I've been like,
that's pretty cool,
on a mic before, besides karaoke.
And you were speaking on the radio?
Yeah, about ska.
Did you have to do a lot of research, or you just knew?
A lot of research. For sure. But there's a lot of good music out there.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun thing to research, right? Like if you're researching anything.
I mean, it has a lot of jazz influence for sure. And I was in New Orleans, so I mean, but also 3:00 is like prime party hour over there. So
Lord.
I didn't get any more than like 5 listeners at a time. So
what?
Yeah.
But you know what? It's like a good thing to sculpt you. Talk about a sculpture.
And when you were saying a thing about phases too, is like, I think that when you describe something as a phase, it seems like it's unimportant and it was just a passing thing. But I think that, each phase will lead to something next. Nothing comes from nothing. So, I definitely agree with that.
It's so cool, because it's like people get caught up in the moment, right? And some people are always present in the moment. You can be either way, but it's like you got to realize it's a continuous journey. Sometimes you're going to be in the moment, sometimes you won't. Sometimes you're going to be stressing, sometimes you won't. Just remembering that you won't always be like stuck in this phase.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can look at phase as, shoot, something bad happened to me, I got to just tell myself it was a phase and get on with it. Sometimes you do got to undermine it.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever way you want to take it.
Yeah.
It's personal to you. But let's move on. I wanted to give this episode a theme. And just from like going on your page, like I really like to I'm kind of sentimental. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a Pisces dog. So it's,
yes, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, so it's a little like unfortunate sometimes, but I love it because like I was on your page and I said I found this finding pleasure in chaos. That's what it felt like on your page, or like finding happiness or contentness within like the destruction of some of your art. It looks kind of destructive. So this is what our friend Zoe, she wrote this down. Well, actually, she didn't write this down. This is kind of what I took, and then the second part is what she wrote down. You persevere through numerous obstacles to convey a deeper message that many may find uncomfortable to speak up against. So that's what we kind of summarized about you.
Yeah, I would say that looking at my art, people are sometimes uncomfortable with it. Some people are fascinated, curious about it. Even when I was younger, looking at like fire, lava, all things that are supposed to be, bad and chaotic. It's just like I always thought like, the textures of the rocks were cool. There was like something that like still captivated me in that. And so a lot of my work actually revolves around texture. So I think that people are drawn to texture. And a lot of good and bad things kind of share the same texture.
Can you give me some examples?
I would say like people are the folds in some of my last series that I did was with a lot of cloth,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of cloth mache. So I basically it was cloth on top of canvas, but the folds kind of the way I painted it, like it mimicked or it brought back to a lot of people like about human skin. So that, really just
Yeah.
like freaked people out. But it's cloth. And, sometimes if I painted it white and left it white, it looked like beautiful marble, let's say. Like, when people are sculpting
They're like,
cloth out of
wow,
so like it's very
so delicate.
yeah, so I think that having the same textures is playing around with that
Oh, I
is
like that.
interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like our minds are so conditioned to perceive.
Mm-hmm.
So if they perceive something that's like even the slightest bit subconsciously, they're already uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like I was looking at your page and just like your art pieces, your details aren't really super detailed, but it's like the way you perceive it, it gives you the feeling of it, so you know what you're looking at, like for sure.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And I'm sure you saw too on my page, I use a lot of found material.
Yes, yes, we wrote that
and
down.
I find that when I am using found material, so like a lot of cardboard or rice, salt, tea in my work, those are things that you could find around your house. So people feel more comfortable, I guess, kind of stepping up into my art.
So you do offer comfort, is what you're saying.
I do. I offer comfort so then people can be accepted. Like they're more accepting or more open-minded to uncomfortable things.
Cool. Meet them halfway in a way. Like,
You lure them with like,
yeah.
a lot of people are like, oh, like, a lot of my things don't usually go on canvas. And so when it's, kind of, it's made of trash, whatever it may be, people are like, well, it's not like fine art, so I could step up and look into it. And so
really?
Yeah, I think I find that like, and that was kind of one of my last series I did when I had an open studio with the cloth is like, I built it on top of canvas. And so I think that the whole thing too is like a critique that if you put something on canvas, all of a sudden it's fine, like high art.
I had no idea about that, I'm gonna be honest.
So
that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's, when, let's say like.
What does canvas mean?
Canvas is just like basically like the material you'd see like things that are framed and perfect.
If you frame it, you're saying?
Like frame it, put it on like a framed painting.
But isn't that like only 2-dimensional stuff?
Yeah, 2-dimensional.
But what about
stuff.
like if it's 3-dimensional?
3-dimensional, I mean like there's respected materials like marble or
but people aren't like touching your
and
3-dimensional stuff like that, are
You'd
they?
be surprised. So a lot of my stuff is with my 3-dimensional stuff is like my pig series I made with toilet seat covers is paper mache. I understand why people want to be so up close that they're touching it because it has a lot of texture and like I say,
right, you like texture.
It's comforting materials. People feel like they could really step into it and like interact with it. Which is kind of what I wanted anyways, so I can't really get too
That's
mad.
a real interactive. You kind of embracing what people perceive it as in a way. Like they want to touch it. Well, I guess it's part of the piece.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather them not. But if I see them kind of touching it, I understand why. Because that was like my kind of goal is like wanting people to be so up. Even though like I find people saying like, oh, it looked uncomfortable. Like I definitely was shocked when I saw it, but I found myself like more intrigued and wanting to come up close to it.
Yeah.
And they felt safe, like, in a sense where if it was just a raw pig carcass, people would be afraid.
They would be like, I'm not getting anywhere, nowhere near that.
But, they felt safe because it wasn't
We should explain it because if somebody doesn't know right now, they're like, whoa, what?
Yes. I have different series of work that I've been doing. So I initially got back into doing sculpting in 3D is because I had an opportunity to build a sculpture in City Heights for the city. And it was like from City Heights artists, and it's the corner of the 15 and University. So City Heights artists building City Heights sculpture for this kind of lot that is going under development. So I got an opportunity to do that, and I built this 6.5 foot wire nest with like wire birds, and then that kind of just like jump started something in me where
6.5 foot
6.5 feet, like
wire.
yeah, sculpture. It's like an outdoor.
Okay, this wasn't your first piece.
No, this is like a piece that I did probably, I want to say, like right before I started my pig pieces. So that's how I got into it.
Okay. So this is like kind of leading up to this.
Yes.
Okay.
And then yeah, after that I just realized that I wanted to kind of stop painting and focus on doing work, like 3D work, but like slowing down and understanding the process, and very simple process. I like to work with simple materials. So what I thought about is like paper mache. Like it's just flour and water. And we all learned it in school. And we all have newspaper to spare. And, a lot of paper mache things are made of like found newspaper or cloth, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And anyone can do it in a sense. So I decided to do paper mache. And what I ended up doing is building 3 pig carcasses, basically. One is, I want to say it's like 12 feet. And it was a full pig carcass made of toilet seat covers, tissue paper, newspaper. And it's a hanging sculpture. And then the one in the middle is kind of like a cut up version. And then it gets smaller and smaller until it gets to the prime part of the pork, basically. And that was just, kind of in a way, it was jarring. I'll give you that. And a lot of my work now is, people would say jarring, but it was very literal in a sense where it was a carcass. But what I was trying to highlight is, pigs are seen as dirty. They're seen as you don't want to be a pig. But yeah, it's the most consumed meat in the world.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. I had some adobo earlier.
Right. So, I love pork too. But, it's kind of representing like parts of us too. Like people are commodities now. And we're stripped down to just our best parts, which is the prime pork rib, tenderloin that I built on my last piece. So all of it's life size. I like to create big pieces. I was taught from my first art teachers, like, which was in high school. Wasn't anything crazy, but it was always like, as an artist, like take up as much room as you can.
I like that. I really like that.
Yeah, if given the room, then why not create bigger? And so, yeah, those pig pieces were.
Do you find that overwhelming though? Like as an artist, creating bigger kind of feels like more energy, and you kind of have to level your whole mentality up to commit to something that large, and then to stay consistent, and then to show it and showcase it, and to think about how you got to manifest all those steps. And how does that like weigh onto you personally? Like, how do you get through that?
Well, I also think that like, yes, I create big, but that's how I create. I definitely think that if someone told me, hey, Tarrah, like build a 6-inch like piece, like about like all these feelings into one, I would say that's harder, like,
Word.
So
yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So I think that, the grass is always greener on the other side. Like, I don't think me creating big makes me a better artist or a more dedicated artist. I just think that that's just how I had big feelings and I wanted to express them big.
I love it though. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people have big feelings and can do it in a small way. I find that like actually more skillful, but I know that other people would they would say the opposite. So,
I respect that point of view.
But, when you said manifesting and like a process, like I definitely as I am, you know, becoming a more uh, advanced artist, or I guess by advanced it's just like understanding myself and how I work as an artist, and how my process of producing is like, I'm just very honest about, I have my, like I said, I have my calendar with me all the time, and I'll kind of have a deadline of, what shows I have or what pieces I have to do, commissions or whatever it may
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
I have a deadline, and then I kind of work backwards from that, and I give myself like days in which,
I like that.
oh, like I plan that I'm going to be working 3 days straight, but I know myself, like by the third day I need to like step out
It's
and
like you're
like
chilling.
go dance or something like that, like. So
Yeah.
being realistic with how I produce things, it definitely helps me manage like not finding art as a burden. I think that happens to a lot of artists as well, is they start seeing art as a burden and they stop creating.
Yeah, you get to that point to where it's like you're putting pressure on yourself to create.
Yeah.
But then it's like when you're not producing, you're looking at yourself like, well, why am I doing this? I'm not even doing anything.
Yeah.
So you get stuck. You get stuck in the cycle of critiquing.
Yeah.
You don't know how to make action and do like actual like. Sometimes you have to think, let me just get up and move my body. Like with the using your hands, that spoke to me, because sometimes you just got to grab something.
Yeah.
And start moving it around.
Yeah.
Don't think.
Yeah. I definitely think that people, and I had to learn this myself, is like seeing time away from not creating, having time away from not creating art is actually working on my art. Like, is because I can't create the next, go on to the next step without taking this break. If so I kind of like jokingly with my friends, I'm like, oh, like I'm going to take I bought an impromptu ticket to go see my best friend in New Orleans for his 30th birthday. And I was like, well, like, even though I had an art show coming up in 2 weeks, I was like, this is research. Like, this is research for, like, this is inspiration. I need to get inspiration.
Yes.
How else am I going to create something else if I don't step away? Like, you don't, like I said, nothing comes from nothing.
I believe in that so much. It's using your experience.
Yeah.
Using your experience to like give you point of view and perspective.
Yeah. If you're not experiencing anything, then it's like hard to create new art, or I guess develop as an artist. You could create the same thing over and over again. That's possible.
Yeah, but then it's just, you don't grow either. You just get stuck. Well, let's continue. So I want to do something that Zoe said, because I love how Zoe has been such a big part of this. Jet has been such a big part of this. They've been like helping us produce and create. This is what Zoe said. The way you let people into your world is visceral. We admire the complexity and vulnerability you are able to articulate so well. Not many people are able to do that, and no one can do that the way you do it. So that's what Zoe says. A message from Zoe. Yeah,
that's very sweet. I think that, like I said, like being able to get people in a mindset to be comfortable in order to receive or accept things that aren't so comfortable. So like a lot of my work, like the pig carcasses, they were not comfortable, but they were made with comfortable materials.
It's so cloth. Cool. It's so cool, by the way.
Thank you.
I just want you to know that. Yeah.
And then my cloth mache pieces, it's made of fabric. A lot of it was made with like old towels. So people understood like this is what it is, but my mind is trying to connect these things, and I'm having these feelings. So I think that genuinely wanting people to connect with it makes it, I think, vulnerable for everyone.
Yeah. So these conversations that we have, like, to me, they get really intrusive, because when I see somebody having a goal and they're like committed to their goal, I then think, why? What is driving them? What internally are they like? To me, I feel like for me, my personal self, I try to fill the void by creating, fill the voids I have. So like for me, if I don't do this, I feel like I'm not giving myself a better chance at living my truest form. You know, that's how I kind of look at it. But for you, like, why do you want to highlight these things and show this off? And I don't know. I don't want to say like tell me what void you're feeling, but like what internally drives you to be this persistent and to be this like dedicated to your dream?
I would say that when I create art, um, it's a time where um, things go silent for me. So actually, I create art to actually not think about anything. So when I could find I'd find it meditative actually. So, um, when you actually meditate, you're supposed to have zero thoughts, and that's the middle ground. That's true content. Like when you're
Yeah.
content, you don't feel anything, and I feel content when I'm creating art. Um, I go in with big feelings, and then I just like kind of sort of blindly create, let myself get in that space,
I
and
love it.
then my artwork usually tells me later on what I'm feeling. I'm like, oh, I see why I did that sometimes.
Yeah, I love that.
And another thing that one of my first art teachers in high school said is just like accidents and things are part of the process. Like a lot of my watercolor paintings, I keep the side palettes up of the colors that I'm mixing, because that's part of the process of me creating things. So
Mm.
um
Like when you're on the side, like,
yeah, like when I'm mixing paints, I
yeah,
leave that on my pieces,
I like that.
just so
Wow.
yeah, and there are like doodles that I have, or it just is a real
Wow.
genuine piece.
It's just like, I'm not worried about creating an image. I'm worried
Yeah.
about just fulfilling my purpose of painting.
Yes. So that's sort of why I create. And I definitely, so my sister talks about this all the time. She's way older than I, and she
Yeah.
definitely had a part of raising me, and all my siblings are way older than I. But I
Mhm.
started talking before I was one, is what she said.
No way.
And by the time I was like 1.5, I was already arguing. So like I felt like I needed a way, probably like like I needed a way to express myself. I think words can only do so much. So I find that
Yes.
art is the only thing that gets me to shut the fuck up. So I do it, and I try to do it often because it's therapeutic.
I love that. See, that's why we do this show. Like that's because that is so inspiring, and it's like everyone has their journey,
Mm.
and yours was just like words aren't enough. Simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I want to express myself. It's like I kind of started expressing myself through clothing.
Mm.
I didn't know how to make clothes at all. The first time I ever made a pair of pants was because I was trying to make a music video and I couldn't find a pair of pants I wanted to wear. So I just made pants. And then from then I just been making clothes.
Yeah.
In different mediums, printing. I learned how to print, learn how to sew. But I never knew I could do that. So to me it was like finding an ability, realizing that I could do something makes me want to do it more.
Mm.
And I don't know. I feel like for you, like realizing, I don't really need words to express myself. I feel like that's encouraging you to like, shit, let me build a giant. I see why you want to have some more space and do bigger projects, because it's like, if you feel like you can, why aren't you doing it?
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of my pieces too is like, a lot of people ask like, are you making this to sell? And I do, like, I'm happy that I could support myself doing art, full time. And before I decided to do my own art full time, I worked as an art licenser at a company I will not name. But I did that for 4 years, and it got me traveling, and I worked as different artist assistants, and always focusing on other people's art. So I decided to do my own art full time, and I'm creating for the sake of creating. So I'm not creating things to sell, really. I mean, I do commission pieces and all that stuff, so that's a plug. But I don't really post those. Those are things I'm making for people, and it's an intimate piece that I'm making for them.
Yeah, you're like, all right, I'll do it for you.
Yeah, but I'm creating these installations because.
So are you considered like a nonprofit artist?
Well, I mean, I get paid to do my installations, and I get a check from the city to do my sculptures.
You're not like auctioning your pieces off.
I mean, I donate pieces to auctions often for causes that I like. And they do get auctioned off and stuff. But it's all, I think that also, selling my pieces, like I said, I worked as an art licensor. I don't have an issue with that. Just because I know
Oh,
if I create something, I'm the one who created it, so I could probably do it again
yeah.
if I really wanted to.
You don't have like that intimate connection to it where you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to let that go. I love making it. I love it.
The process is the intimate connection to it. It's
Mm,
not the piece for
I
me.
see. I see. Okay. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
And if I want to feel it again, I'll just have to make that piece again. And I know that, it's probably going to be better because at whatever point at that time I made that piece, I have become a better artist since then, even if it's the day
Yeah.
before.
It's like, this is the upgraded version of myself.
Yeah. But the
Manifested.
process is still there,
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, let's see. We actually started covering a lot of these questions I had, which is really cool.
yeah.
It was naturally just started talking about it. So I guess we can continue here. When did you realize that your art is a vehicle to impact the community?
When did I realize that? I guess that's a good question because I haven't thought about that.
Well, your messages kind of just feel like that's who you're speaking to.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, I started creating just to create, like to express my thoughts. I didn't necessarily think, I started doing art when I was very young in high school, but even obviously before that. But in high school, I took it more seriously. And I just had these big feelings, like I said, and I just created. I was like, no one's going to listen to this high school, girl. But I then after a while, I think that once I moved to New Orleans, I saw the importance of community and actually like, I always tried to say something with my art, but I guess like being more intentional with it. And I think that when you are when I was being intentional and genuine with creating my artwork, I think people connected with it a lot. And when I love like, and that's what I miss during quarantine the most is like hearing how people felt about my artwork after they saw it. And so I started, once I started to kind of showcasing my artwork to people I didn't know, and they felt affected by it, not just like friends and family. That's when I realized like, okay, I have to pay attention to, the words and the messages I'm putting
That
out
you're putting
there
out there, yeah.
through my art, because
It's really
someone's
key.
looking. Someone's looking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do impact someone who's probably just like you, or someone who feels like, I know for you, you said at a time you didn't really feel like San Diego had anything to offer for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, I'm gonna go to New Orleans. What am I really missing, right?
Yeah.
Somebody here could be like, oh, that could be what I'm missing.
Mm-hmm.
The life you're living, like.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think that one like a big moment for me was I did an art show, I want to say last winter or maybe it was in November or December. And it was in the National City, it's called National City, A Reason to Survive. And it's a National City youth, after school youth
Cool.
art program. And so they had opened like a side little gallery for local San Diego artists to showcase. And they had been giving opportunities to emerging artists too, young emerging artists to like showcase their work out of there. But what they really focus on is like kids from the ages of 9 to 16 who just need to take art classes after school, because obviously we know the California education system and all the other education system, art is the first to go. So being able to showcase my work there and also being raised in National City was like,
that's a fulfilling moment.
it was fulfilling. Like it was like a small art show, but I was like, this is big for me just because I
Right.
see all these kids, they're
Facts.
going to be exposed to my work. And I was a National City kid. So, it was nice to see
It's full circle.
that coming
It's a full
back.
circle
Yeah.
moment.
Mm-hmm.
We're really like wrapped up when it comes to like talking about community.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's more we can talk about, but there's so many things we can talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we don't have to keep going on community. We talked about your transition from not knowing that you could do it to knowing that this is very possible. We talked about kind of your beginnings and like your background, your life, and how growing up, you know, it had an effect on who you became. Especially we talked about since you were 1 year old. Like, talk about going back, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
We did have some random flash questions, just like for fun.
Yeah,
that would make it fun.
Yeah,
it is fun already, but it would make it even more fun. What is your favorite turn up spot?
I like to go to Whistle Stop. I didn't know when this happened, but I ended up having so many DJ friends. So I'm putting a cap on that.
That's how it be.
Trying to be my friend and you're a DJ, I have too many events to go to. Right?
Word.
And all of them usually, they've been DJing at Whistle Stop. So I like to turn up Whistle Stop. Of course, it's Department. When there's shows there, Danny puts on a good show. So
that's cool.
I would say Department or Whistle Stop.
All right. What is your favorite wind down spots?
Wind down spot besides my house, I would say.
Yeah, besides your house, it has to be a location that people can go to.
I like to wind down with a good cheeseburger, so I would go to the Friendly Tavern on University.
Let's go.
It's right next to my art studio, so I just like an excuse to go there. That's so funny.
We just got put on by like Jet, and Jet actually put us on last week. Bro.
Oh hell yeah! I go there pretty often. I would say like probably once or twice a week.
That's so funny, bro. Okay, that's so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the next question was gonna be favorite taco spot.
Favorite taco spot is a place in City Heights. It's been there since I was growing up there, or when I was younger there. But it is, and some people say it's better than Tacos El Gordo, but it's called Tacos El Penson, and it's right across the street.
Word. So wait, there's a competitor in this?
I mean, I like it more. It's right across the street from Hoover High School.
Okay.
I like to get the buche tacos, get it extra crispy.
Buche tacos.
Yeah.
Boom. All right, next question. Clear or dark liquor?
I don't know what this says about me, but I do like to change my liquor by season. So,
whoa. I've never heard of that.
Wintertime, it's either depending on when in wintertime, but like early November, I do whiskey. And then towards like December, I do gin.
Gin. Ooh.
And then summer tequila.
So summer tequila, winter whiskey?
Winter whiskey, like early winter. November, like October, November, I'll do whiskey.
And then
December. I'll do
no,
gin.
but then you said whiskey, gin. Oh, then tequila summer.
Yes.
But what about spring?
Usually have a lot of family events, and my family likes to drink Hennessy, VSOP, or Black Label.
Oh man.
Johnny Walker. So those are the only two. So I'll say those like for the holiday or the family parties.
That's cool. You got a rotation, so you really like.
I don't know what that says about me, but
you didn't say either or.
I'm a Gemini, so.
Hey, okay. No, it's crazy. The next question is astrology big three. That's perfect.
I'm a Gemini double Sagittarius.
Gemini double Sag.
Yes. So my
whoa.
opposite signs.
Wow.
I don't know what that says.
Well, you're probably like really passionate.
Yeah.
2 fire signs.
Also like a person that says yes, down for an adventure.
Oh, I see. That's the win, though. That's got to be the Gemini.
That's Gemini and Sag. I find like Sages are, when I meet them as a Gemini and they're my opposite sign, like they are really good partners in crime. Like they're like, all right, let's do
with it.
Yeah.
You know, you're right. You're right. Actually, I just met a Sagittarius. Okay. Nice. Yeah, dude. Okay, that's pretty cool. Jed be on me. He'd be like, Mark, you're so into astrology. And I'd be like, bro, it's cool. Like, how could you not be into astrology?
Yeah,
bro?
like don't like let it control you, but
yeah, but it's like it's fun. It's like wow, you can learn a little bit more. But is it real though? That's the question.
I mean, I feel the same way with like Myers-Briggs tests. Like, are you an ENFP?
Oh,
or
yeah,
like
yeah.
Like it's just like interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like anything that could kind of give you an insight of how people work.
Right, it's just more information at the end of the day.
It's like so that's how I see it.
I feel like we're all everything, you know. We're all a little bit of everything.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty cool. I like astrology. I'm glad you like astrology too. All right. Well, I think we can continue. The only other thing I wrote down was just like facts about you, but this is just like for my own personal need. I was like really into.
For my
I
personal
wrote.
facts.
I
Yeah.
wrote really into trash. That's what I wrote down.
That was the first line of the Union Tribune article.
Oh,
This
yes,
says
yes.
Tarrah really
Really
is really into trash.
That's where I got
which is
that from.
funny.
Yes. I said likes using red, pink, and purple.
Shout out to Seth who interviewed me.
Yeah. And then represents underrepresented communities. And then I wrote down Gemini. Yeah.
Those are it pretty much sums up a lot of things.
All right. Well, then
Yeah.
to continue, you got to share anything else that I missed out, and then we can continue off and then close out the show.
Well, I'm a second generation Asian American, and there's a huge Asian population in San Diego. There's a lot of cool things that creative Asian people are doing here in San Diego. So just doing a little plug. There's Pac Arts, who throws a San Diego Asian Film Festival every year. Actually twice a year. So they do a showcase that's really cool there. And it's actually one of the biggest Asian film festivals in the nation, I want to say.
Wow.
And it's here in San Diego. So that's a lot of cool things. And yeah, there's the Lao Food Festival that just got established. So there's official Lao Food Day here in San Diego. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, that's something I'm passionate about.
I love that. I love like announcements. I love spreading that information.
Yeah.
It's cool. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to the first episode, the first interview. I'm really grateful and thankful that you came onto the show. Tarrah, that was really amazing. We had a great time. I feel like I know so much more about like really what you do.
Yay,
you really got into it.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like that too.
Yeah.
Definitely like a great relaxing environment. So thank you for having me. And yeah, I definitely rambled on for a while, but I'm probably learning things about myself too after.
That's how it be. That's how it be. We just gotta accept it.
Yeah.
Let's just accept it. Okay, Instagram tag.
So my Instagram is t.aroonsakool. It's a long one, but it's t.aroonsakool. It's Tarrah Aroonsakool. And through there you could find, you could schedule appointments for open studio visits, my upcoming shows, and where my public sculptures are at. So
cool. Thank you very much. Thank you guys all for listening. That was a great episode of Tarrah. She really shared her perspective, her background. It was fun learning about people. We really enjoy that. I think it does more when we like take the time to get to know each other and just have a conversation. Like, really, why do you do this? Why do you like that? And get some background on people, because we run into each other all the time. But I really don't know anybody out there. Like, I really don't know you. Like, I'll see you and say what's up, but I don't know you. Let's change that. Let's all come sit down right here, and some people can sit down over there. And maybe we can end up with a whole room full of people talking one day. Maybe it's not just a one-on-one. Because that would be so cool. Okay, so we're going to actually be hosting a market soon. We're going to be doing that September 9th. Jet, that's the date. I'm letting you know for the first time right now. September 9th, yeah. We're tapping in with the community. We're building it up. We have the space. We have the opportunity. We have the chance. We have to go and get it. So that's what we're going to go do. Yeah, working on a magazine too. Little preview. Yes, sir. We was rapping yesterday, Jet. We was spitting, bro. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, shoot. We're good, bro. We can wrap it up, man. Let's wrap it up.